Hey, what's going on, comic compadres, and welcome back to the Team Nerd Herd podcast. And guess who I got here on the podcast today? I got Brandon Easton, writer, and look at all the stuff that he's been writing for Marvel's Agents of Carter, Overwatch, the Transformers. I remember that. I remember that. Thundercats, Mr. Miracle, Star Trek V, big Star Trek guy, Truth and Justice, Judge Dredd, and I can see he has some wrestling stuff going on here. Brandon, what's up, man? How you doing, bro?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Good, man. It's nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, man. Hey, bro. Like, I came here. I came here earlier than the first day. I said, I'll come through. And I came through, and Brandon's really cool to do this interview with me, and I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. But, Brandon, man, before we start, where can everybody find you, and what are some of your future projects you'd like my audience to know before we get started with some questions?
Sure. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Brandon Easton, and on Instagram, Brandon Easton Writer. I've done so many projects in so many different companies. I've worked with Marvel Comics. I've done stuff with DC Comics. I've done a whole lot of stuff with IDW. I had been working with IDW for many, many years. Mm-hmm. In terms of stuff that's coming, I think like the most recent stuff was my Mr. Miracle stuff. Mr. Miracle, The Source of Freedom, issue 6, dropped a few weeks ago.
Oh, he was working with DC too?
Yeah, and then here's Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. I wrote a story with Batman versus Azrael versus Ra's al Ghul.
Okay.
The League of Assassins. So you can check that out. But the newest things, I'm working on a new Overwatch video game. Okay. I'm one of the writers for Overwatch, the next Overwatch game for Blizzard.
How's it writing for video games? Is it different writing for video games than it would be for comics?
Yeah. Comics and television and film work much faster than games. Working for video games as a writer means learning how to really take your time and understanding how they flow. They are much slower. I tell you, television and film and comics move at a breakneck pace. You got to get the product out.
Okay.
With video games, the development cycle can be 1 year or 10 years, as we've known. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn how to slow down a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the biggest difference between games and everything else.
What did you start writing first? Comic books, or video games?
My first big time writing stuff was with a company called Dreamwave Productions.
Okay.
That was Pat Lee's company back in the day. I worked on a series called Arcanium.
Okay.
That was my first big time published anything ever. And the artist on the book was a guy named LaShawn Thomas, who went on to work on Cannon Busters for Netflix, as well as Yasuke. He's the director and creator of all this stuff. So I met that guy, and it was like both of our careers kind of started on that book.
Okay, and then where did it move from there?
Well, I was living in New York City for a few years, and I moved out here in 2008 to go for my screenwriting dreams. Okay. And what wound up happening was I moved here in 2008, but it took about until 2010 before I could get my first gig, and my first gig in the business was the Warner Brothers Animation 2011 reboot of the classic Thundercats series.
Okay. I remember that. That was really that was a good series, man.
Yeah, we did 26 episodes. I worked on episode 24.
Okay, so you were working on the small screen too, right? And the big screen, and then comics. How did you get into comics?
Well, originally, that's what I was saying earlier. Yeah. I broke in with Dreamwave because it took out. I got to know a lot of people, and it took a lot of networking before I was able to break in. Okay. So it was 2002 when I first broke into comics.
Oh, so you've been in it for 20 years now, huh?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
And then how did you break in? How'd you break into video games?
I applied. Blizzard was hiring writers. I knew some people who were working at Blizzard. They recommended me. I applied, and after a very long interview process, I got hired.
When did you know you wanted to be a writer?
Oh, probably back in the mid '80s. The '80s era was like an era of original material, like Ghostbusters, Beetlejuice, Blade Runner. Even Star Wars. It was all original.
Yep.
So I grew up with a lot of original movies and TV series as a part of my life, and there weren't any reboots then. It was all new stuff. So I was really impacted by all the really cool stuff from the 1980s to want to be a writer.
80s baby.
Yeah.
80s baby. Did we grow up watching Transformers too? Because I could see here that that you did Siege War for Cybertron. Right?
Yeah, this is currently on Netflix.
Yep.
I worked on season 1 of Transformers War for Cybertron Siege. It was a great experience. I really, really enjoyed it.
Uh-huh.
And it was a dream come true. Yes, I saw Transformers the first time it ever came on in 1984, and I've been a fan all my life. So being able to write Transformers has been amazing.
And tell me that experience about writing that one, bro, because that one was kind of raw.
Yeah. Well, when I got the job, they told me they wanted to go dark and be adult, and they wanted to speak to fans of the original adult fans.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my generation, our generation.
Okay.
So as a child of the 1980s,
Mm-hmm.
it was a dream to work on War for Cybertron.
Oh, that's dope, man. And
Yeah.
because I remember there was like, I was here sitting here while you were talking to another person, and you said it was like, man, you were getting away with things that you didn't think you could get away with.
I had no idea we would be able to do. I was saying earlier, we had Autobot bodies on pikes, skewered, like murdered Autobots. We did not think that could happen. You know, I never thought in my wildest dreams we would be. Netflix let us get away with a lot. I'll just put it like that.
Man, it seems like Netflix lets a lot of people get it. They're like, just get away with it.
I feel that they respect the audience's intelligence.
Yep.
People
Amen.
can handle more complicated material.
It's like the Daredevil one.
Right.
Like you
But
had to wait
right.
to get to like, you had to watch 10 episodes before it got really good, right?
Well, the trick is, I just feel that you don't need to dumb down the American
That's what I'm saying.
audience. Americans are not stupid. So we're not stupid people. So I feel like media has to stop dumbing things down. I think the more complicated you make something, the more intelligent you make it, the more people are going to watch it, because people are suckers for intelligence.
Yeah.
Really. So I just feel like that's what needs to happen, and Netflix understands that, and Netflix allowed us to tell a very intelligent and dark Transformers story.
It's all right to let people think and guess.
Exactly.
Right? Like make up your own story and like try to think about what's going to happen in the next episode. Then we'll show you. Like,
and it helps you grow.
Yeah, leave me with cliffhangers. I'm good with it, right?
Yep.
What advice would you give to someone that's like 18 and trying to break into the business, man?
Well, nowadays, I mean, if you had asked me that 10 years ago, I would have given you a completely different answer. But nowadays, everybody's cell phone has enough power to people make movies on cell phones now, right?
Like I'm doing right now.
Right. People can write books on cell phones or make music.
Yep.
What you really need to do if you're starting out from scratch is to create your own material. Write a short story. If you're a DJ, make your own tracks. If you're a filmmaker, make short videos. Narrative videos, fiction and nonfiction. That's what I would recommend. Do your own thing, and that's how you get, attention. To be absolutely honest.
Jump in. Would that be good advice? Jump in. And
Just
start.
start. Just start. Don't worry about making mistakes. Don't worry about not being perfect. Just get your work done.
Yeah, man. And let's get into some fun questions here, man.
Sure.
Who is your favorite hero?
Oh, when I was a kid, it was Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
What do you think about the new Spider-Man movie?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I won't spoil it for you then.
Please don't spoil it for me.
I won't spoil it for you, man.
Yeah.
I promise, man. I won't be that guy. Who's your favorite villain?
Megatron.
Oh, Megatron.
Leader of the Decepticons.
Did you have the Megatron from the 80s, the actual
I never got
Transformer?
the gun.
You never got the gun?
I got the Japanese re-release from like 20 years ago, but I was never able to get the original one,
Bro,
which I regretted.
All I wanted was the Optimus Prime, but all that the stores had was Megatron.
Yeah, and that's the sad part, because,
Yeah.
if you would have stocked up on those are worth a lot of money.
Those are worth a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
Who else in the Transformer canon that you enjoy?
I love Optimus Prime.
Yep.
I think he's one of the greatest heroes ever made. I really liked all the triple chains, like Astro Chain and Blitzwing, and all the Decepticon jets were awesome. Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp, the whole nine. All of them.
One thing I like to ask artists too is, it takes.
Well, I don't draw. I'm a writer.
I mean, I'm writers.
Yeah.
But you're an artist too.
Yes,
You're an
true.
artist, writer, right? Artist,
Yeah.
writer, right? You're creative. Well, a lot of one question I'm always interested to ask like creators is, what do you need to create? Like, what do you need in the atmosphere? What do you need music?
That's a good question.
Do you need to watch a movie first? Do you get in? What do you need?
Usually I need peace and quiet.
Okay.
We start with that. because writing is a process that you just don't sit down and start writing. You have to kind of like build up to getting your brain and your body in a space to write, because you have to like lock in for a certain amount of time as a writer.
Yep.
For me, it's peace and quiet, but movie soundtracks like John Williams, like the Star Wars soundtracks or scores, Indiana Jones, anything by John Williams really helps me out. Daft Punk, Linkin Park.
There you go.
Even Slipknot. You know, they get me into a space where I can write.
You got the Slipknot right in there, bro. You know, like
there you go.
Yeah, I can see that. I can feel it now. I can feel it. What are some of your favorite bands, man?
Oh shit, man, we can talk all night about music.
Come on, bro, let's go.
I'm a big fan of new metal in general.
Okay.
So Slipknot. I like Korn. Linkin Park is way up there. I like a lot of classic rock. Like I love Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath,
there you go.
The Rolling Stones, Creedence Clearwater Revival. A lot of stuff from I love Sting and the Police. I like the Clash. You know,
a musician,
a lot,
bro? Because it sounds like you.
No, I'm not a musician, but I love music.
Real eclectic there.
Yeah,
you know?
and then on the other side, like with hip hop, I like Public Enemy, Nas, Run DMC, all the old school classic stuff. You know, like my musical tastes are everywhere, but in terms of like hardcore bands, it would definitely be like Slipknot, Linkin Park, Led Zeppelin, and Black Sabbath.
I heard what you said about hip hop, man. Let me ask you a definitive question: is hip hop dead?
Okay, that's a damn good question.
Yep.
I don't think hip hop is dead. The problem is that the stuff that music companies are pushing out is absolute garbage.
Amen.
Now, does that mean hip hop is dead? No. I go back to the East Coast all the time. I'm going to New York or whatever over Christmas holiday, right? On the streets of New York, in Baltimore, in Philly, in Chicago, wherever, places I've been.
Yep.
There's still kids freestyling.
Yep.
Without any auto-tune. There's still ladies singing and men singing over beats. Hip-hop as a culture of graffiti, of MCing, and of breakdancing. Breakdancing is still alive globally. You can go to Tokyo or Kuwait. You could go to like Paris, France. You go to London. You see the best breakdancers in the world.
Yep.
Because hip-hop is still alive. Hip-hop ain't dying. It's mainstream garbage hip-hop. That's going to go. That's going to die.
My thing is hip hop.
It'll come back. The real one will come back.
Hip hop when we were kids, had meaning.
That's what I'm saying.
There was a meaning to it. There was like either love or politics. Now, what the fuck is it about? I mean,
nothing. Drugs and sex.
And getting that
nonsense.
Booty and booty. That's
right.
it.
It's nonsense.
It's nonsense.
So what I'm saying is, again, hip hop will return because it never went away. Just because record companies are putting out garbage doesn't mean that there's cats on Spotify, there's people on Instagram, there's people on Tidal, there's people on Apple Music, iTunes, whatever. They're dropping their original material. And it's real hip-hop. It's not this garbage. There's no auto-tune. It's real music. So that's my point. The culture will never die.
Yeah, man.
It's never going to die.
It's never going to die.
And that's how I look at it.
Amen, man. I'm with you on that, bro. Like, we old school. One last question, man, before I let you go, man. What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
To have a lot more faith in your ability to make it.
Yeah. There you go.
Because there were times when I thought my life was going to stagnate and my career was never going to happen. And I kept at it, but if somebody would have came back in time and said, yo, you're going to make it. Don't worry about it. Just get through this stuff. I had a lot of obstacles in my path. I overcame those obstacles, but they were still obstacles, and they were not fun or easy to deal with. So the ability to survive and make it, if I would have known then what I know now, the pain would have been a lot less. Let me put it like that.
Hey, Brandon, man, before we go, man, where can they find you again?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Brandon Easton Writer. I'm also on Twitter at Brandon Easton. I get back to people. I don't really mess with Facebook too much, but if anybody wants to reach out, I always get back to anybody. You know, if you want to look at my work or ask questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always around, and I'm happy to. I work a lot, but I will get back to you eventually.
Hey, man, Brandon, I appreciate you being on the Hoodrat podcast, man, and I hope you enjoy the Spider-Man movie, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. We out.
Take care.